I did forget one major thing for just goes to show. There was one thing that I did forget, which is of course put the cat out of the office and feed the cat, which I didn't do. So sorry, Evie, you're going to be severely disappointed. And of course, my leg will suffer as a consequence of that. All right, let's do this. Welcome everybody to this very first Engage session of 2020. I really hope you had the opportunity. Last week we did a lesson format where I asked you to do a retrospective of 2020, a far more effective thing than goal setting. You know, the science is in on goal setting. It sucks dogs' testicles. Now, I shouldn't say that as a specific thing because it's unfair. There are circumstances in which goals work, and that is in fixed environments. Okay, so for example, actually, a very effective goal is if you want to, go for gold in the Olympics in the upcoming esports category, then you could do that. In theory, it's a fixed determination thing. It's a fixed activity. It's a fixed thing. Everything is fixed. Even so, there are lots of things that can come in and derail your goal, like, touching all available. You could get a severe cramp in your gaming thumb, and that could cause a problem. You could bust a tendon. But as a general rule, right, that makes sense. When it comes to creating a business and designing behavior change, goal setting doesn't work because there are too many moving factors. It's just the facts of it, right? And there are moving factors. And this year's Academy will be, and I welcome many of you, the Operation Scrum Stylers, who were my willing victims last year, where I studied them on a daily basis. There were just under 40 brave souls who subjected themselves to my supervision for Monday to Friday for the entire second half of last year. And we learnt so much about the challenges involved in people trying to put together their business. They use terminologies that I hate, like side hustles and all this, because I hate the word hustle. And you'll see why in just a second, why I now have data to prove how bad hustling is for you. But call it what you will, the challenges of creating that business are not to be underestimated. And the things that get you, the things that stuff you up, are things that you would not expect, right? It's not anything to do with the lack of plans, right? There are so many good plans out there and available to you. For goodness sake, for the cost of a book. My book of the year last year, which hopefully you all got to see, I put that out over the break, was Evaldo Albuquerque's 16-word sales letter. Tiny little book. Have I got it here? No, I was reading it again last night. Tiny book, right? Super thin. In fact, ironically, I don't think you can get the Kindle version at the moment because they said there's quality issues, which is rubbish. It's the best book ever. But anyway, I get the physical book. It's tiny. But the best sort of step-by-step guide to writing inverted commas, a sales letter or a script for a video or an ad, just thinking through that I have seen. It is just that brilliant. And then, so you've got stuff like that that's available to you at all times. That is not the issue. And when I started the Academy all the way back, the whole purpose of the Academy was to tackle the things outside the blueprints, or the recipes, as we like to call them around here. Miles Davis, who was an ass, talented ass, but an ass nonetheless, used to joke that his expertise was understanding the breath between the notes, the silence between the notes was the thing that made him such a brilliant jazz museum, that the cocaine and being an ass. But the truth is, he was right. There's things that will make you successful, that will bring you in a business and will make you money, are literally the breaths between the notes of your recipe. So it's not the recipe itself, it's all the stuff that you are doing around that. And that will be my goal over 2020, is to be your coach through those things, because that's, as they say, scientific meaning, I believe, is what will get you. Now, at the end of our retrospective exercises, there was a book recommendation, and you'll hear a hell of a lot with me. And it's definitely, well, let's put it this way, it's the front runner for Book of the Year 2020, which was BJ Fogg's Tiny Habits. Oh, not another habit book. A book which criminally I left out of the 2019, which is terrible, because it provided my quote of the year, and I think I might have to do an update of it. It's literally staring at me with guilt. Was, of course, Atomic Habits, James Clear's Atomic Habits. Now, the reason I forgot about it, which is terrible, was, of course, I bought it in hardback and it wasn't in my Kindle for some reason. So that has been rectified. Magnificent book. But as good as this book is, Tiny Habits is about behavior design. Okay, not goal setting, behavior design. Because fundamentally, the things that will make your business work are the way that you behave in 2020. My favorite quote of perhaps the last decade, and particularly relevant for today's little diatribe, is that we do not rise to the level of our goals. We fail to the level of our systems. And our systems, folks, are our behaviors. And behavior design is everything, because that is what will get you. If you can't handle having an ad go wrong, if you can't make time for sleep, if you are constantly getting tossed and turned, your environment is not superior, you don't have some way that is conducive to you as an entrepreneur to be able to implement and manage your time, that's the stuff that's going to get you. You get that right, and the rest of the stuff will follow. You implement systems that are the systems of somebody who has a successful online business, and lo and behold, you will have a business. And what was incredibly revealing in Operation Scrum Style was the difficulty that people had in implementing systems. They had a desire to create a business. Okay, they absolutely had a desire to create a business. In fact, I was very forthright when I wanted them to create a business in 6 months, more than enough time, because we have many, 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 many hundreds, if not thousands, of documented cases. Not only people that I've worked with through the Challenge and other courses like Magcast and stuff like that, but throughout, if you look at some of the brilliant systems that are out there, like some of you are doing, and welcome, by the way, officially to all my EPMers who may be here for the first time, and Maurice's magnificent course. Okay, you're already seeing people in there hit their $2,000 goals in significant numbers. So it's not that this is wishful thinking. It's very achievable. Yet the things that make people fail are very human indeed. And so my job in 2020 with you is to coach you through those things, right? You'll want to talk about oh, how do you, what's the best funnel page to use, or give us some ideas on headlines, and of course I'll help you with those things in our engage sessions. But the reality is, what I'll be far more interested in is the processes and the systems you are implementing yourself. Because, and if you'll allow me to continue um, having a bit of a rant for a little bit, is you being here definitely is a sign that you want to make 2020 different. That's such a great, isn't it? It's just fantastic. Finally, we've got a decade where we can call it the 20s, the 10s, that sucked. The noughts, that sucked too. In our first decade where we can call something, it's brilliant. So it's just the perfect year for you to finally make that change and get that business going and getting that money coming in. But the things that will make you that change will be these behaviors. So please get yourself a copy of Tiny Habits, most practical book on behavior design that I have seen. A lot of it will be familiar to long-term academy students, because we have been talking about this forever, how environmental triggers are far more important. And one of my behavior designs has been, every time I pick up the phone, running a little behavior design routine to challenge myself about what I'm doing in picking up the phone. Because I've got some pretty significant changes going on, which I'll reveal to you all in the fullness of time. In fact, you guys will hear it here first at the Academy. And, even with that little time of understanding, as much as I love Twitter, people say Twitter's terrible. It's all the bad it does in the world, and social media does bad. And I think Facebook is definitely that. Right? I agree 100%. Twitter, on the other hand, used properly, is magnificent. But I love it to death. But it just gets you in terms of your ability to be able to focus and to be able to produce the type of work that will allow you to understand your market, that will allow you to understand what their needs are to create products and services and do all those sorts of things. All right. So that is my 2020. I'm not sure if it was a pump up. It was a warning, but the good news, let's look at it from the positive methodology, is that if you can get the core systems, and the two core systems, okay, and the two systems that got Operation Scrum's stylers and caused them to fail, right, were two key things, right? And then, of course, there's a long tail of other stuff, but there were two things so far out in front that it wasn't funny. And the first one was sleep, right? 150% sleep was the absolute killer of dreams and businesses. It was shocking. It was horrifying. When anybody had a bad week in Operation Scrum style, I would shoot them a little message on Slack, say, hey, how much sleep did you get this week? Inevitably, the answer was 5, 6, 7 hours. Patently not enough. The science is incontrovertible. And that got them. They had a lack of energy. It means what energy they did have, they had to put into their day job, which pays them money to do what they're able to do, or family issues or caring issues if they were carers or whatever it happened to be, right? And they had nothing left for their business. That thing that allegedly was really, really important. They wanted to make it happen. It was crucial that it happens. Well, was it Abraham Lincoln who said, actions speak louder than words? But here's the thing, you can't control, you're a machine. It's horrible. People think that we are these magnificent free will creatures. A couple of percent, and that was enough to make us different to apes. But it's only a couple of percent. The rest of the time, we are reaction machines. We are organic meat space algorithmic computers that just react to, well, as BJ Fogg would call them, prompts in your environment. Picking up your phone is a prompt. Opening your computer is a prompt. Sitting on your couch is a prompt. When you arrive at your desk in work is a prompt. And 99 times out of 100, you'll do exactly the same thing over and over again. Okay, so those prompts and those things are the sort of the behaviors and the design changes that we need to make. Okay, and that's what I want to help you with in 2020. So sleep, coming back to sleep, was such a crucial element. And for those of you who were with the Academy last year, you'll know the story that I actually went to and did a proper sleep study, because I realized just how important sleep is. And some of you out there struggle for sleep because of various issues that you have. And you've got to understand that the science of sleep has just leapt leaps and bounds. I'm not a Dr. Jason Fox when it comes to eloquence, that's for sure. You've got, all of the, if you look at the facilities that are available now and the help that you can get with regards to sleep and just understanding how much sleep you need, because it is different. Here's the thing, anybody who says that they need under 7, I'm watching you very closely because the science would disagree. However, 7 up, there is a range, there is somewhere in there that is perfect for you, but it's different for everybody. I was religious about sleep because I knew how important it was, and I thought I needed 8 hours. I did this sleep study, and then people would ask me, "Oh, Ed, you get 8 hours. Do you wake out of bed feeling excited and pumped and thrilled about life?" And I said, "No, I hate those people. I want to punch them." I've never felt like that at any stage in my entire life. All right, so and part 1 of that was a depressive personality, and medication has helped immensely with that part, because I used to feel like when I woke up in the morning, somebody kicked me in the forehead, literally right here, and medication has stopped that, which is just amazing. Thank you, modern science. The second part of it, though, is waking up feeling like you're energetic and that you're ready to take on the day, and I'd never felt that until I did this sleep study, and the results of the sleep study were, guess what? I need 9 hours of sleep. 9 hours of sleep. And that poses us a few challenges. I have to make a conscious choice. Do I be slightly because I'm an early riser, so does that mean I'm slightly antisocial in the evenings and go to bed early to get 9 hours? And let me tell you, the answer is unequivocal. It is yes, because for the first time I am waking up, I feel refreshed. It allows me to have more willpower for other changes and other things that I'm doing. As you will hear, some of the big news, it has facilitated those things, and little changes, can result in great actions and snowball effects. So one of the things that we are absolutely going to be focusing on, we're going to do it in a pretty cool way, as you'll hear shortly, we're going to be focusing on how much sleep you're getting. Because, and don't worry if you're sitting there thinking, "Oh dear, I don't get much sleep." Don't worry. Look metaphorically to all of your fellow attendees. Because when I ask this question, when we're doing recipes at home, when I ask this question, when I'm in any sort of entrepreneurial gathering, the answers are depressing, right? It's people 5, 6, 7 hours top. 5, 6 is the most, and you'll never ever be successful doing that, right? And now, what's interesting, because we fetishize sleep, and you say to me, "But Ed, some of the greatest people in the planet, they live on 4 hours sleep." Well, I'd argue to you that it's the other systems and not their sleep that work. I also would argue to you that they have massive teams that they leveraged off, I would also argue to you that they are anomalies. All right. And the true story of people is that they definitely said, make no mistake, you can't magic a business for yourself out of thin air. Something has to give. It is physics, right? You are changing potential energy into kinetic energy. There is a certain amount of energy that exists. You do have to sacrifice. Unfortunately, you're all making the decision that sleep is what I'm going to sacrifice. And it is wrong, because that's the one thing you can't sacrifice. You have to sacrifice your work day or your leisure day, right? That's the only two things that you can sacrifice. And for a lot of people, work is off limits. So it's that leisure time that you need to sacrifice, which segues into my last point. And don't worry, we've got plenty of time. So if you've got questions that you want me to help you with, I've got plenty of time today. We'll go for as long as everybody needs, because I really did want to get this into your head. It's sort of like my state of the nation. It's my academy address for 2020, as the principal stands in front of the students, and the students all hate it. They just want to get into class, but the principal makes you listen to his thoughts. And there you go. That's what I'm doing here. Now, the segue is, we mentioned that time. The second killer was the inability to make religious, absolutely inviolate time to work on your business. 50-minute segments of time where you worked on your business without distraction, with the phone off, with the inverted commas door shut, or you're in a coffee shop, or you are somewhere that you're able to schedule 5 50-minute sessions a week. All right. That did not happen, and people really struggled with it. These are people that, remember, signed up saying, yes, I can do 5 hours. Absolutely. Well, again, actions speak louder than words. And when you follow along and you ask the 3 golden questions of management, what did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? The patterns become overwhelming. And the inability, and this is a known problem, right, with entrepreneurs. Okay, we know this. We know this. However, that's not an excuse, right? Because here's the thing, as I've often say, and as I said in Operation Scrum Style many times, if you commit to picking up your kids 5 days a week after school, it's not good enough. If you just turn up 2 times and say, well, put in a shift, that's not good enough. You'll have community services and the school at your front door. You left your children 3 times out of 5 this past week. Not good enough, right? And what's very important is all of you, and I know this without a shadow of of concern, that here's the thing, in your other lives, right, in your other activities, you are considered in your communities and families and everything as one of the reliable ones, right? You are one of the go-to people in your family, in your community, in your workplace, right? That is who you are. Yet when it comes to your business, the thing that you want to do to finally give you that freedom, of not stressing about money, to be able to work wherever you want to work. Say a client sends you off to Jamaica for a week. Then you can jump on the plane and you can work. Exactly. It doesn't matter whether you're staring out the incredible waves from Half Moon Resort in Jamaica, or looking out the window in in Moonee Ponds. It doesn't matter, right? That's what you get. But if you cannot commit to showing up for 50-minute sessions, guess what? It's just not going to happen. And that happened time and time and time again. The frailties of human nature. And that's okay, right? I'm not bagging on anybody who participated in Operation Scrum Style. Not at all. They were incredibly brave to do it, and they're incredibly brave to open their world to me, because they're not only helping themselves, they are doing an incredible service for all of you in the Academy in 2020, because it's those two things that will get you, right? They are the things that will get you. And it's funny, if you sign up for a coach or a tutor, or you make appointments with the accountants, you'll make it, right? You'll get there, right? Or you'll feel dreadful if you have a dog grooming appointment. You'll make it, and you'll take your dogs to the dog groomer, right? You are capable of doing this. Yet, with your business, for some reason, and it's not some reason, it's science, if your energy is low, hey, refer to previous rant on sleep, right, then your body will allow itself to work in automated mode, and you will just do the things that you have been doing. You'll find yourself on the couch watching, whatever. You'll find yourself, too tired, and ironically too tired to sleep. We've all had that, where you think, I should be going to sleep now, but you can't get yourself off the bed and off the auto roll play Netflix because you're almost too tired to go to bed, right? It's this devastating reverse snowball effect where you don't have the energy to enact the willpower. You get to the point where you need to do your 50 minutes, and then something happens, or something interrupts, a work thing interrupts, or a life thing interrupts, and for whatever reason, you went in that moment when you have a choice to make, when you have a choice to say, yes, sorry, I will deal with you in 30 minutes time after, this thing, then the choice in that moment is to deal with the other thing. That the importance of your doing business is not as important as doing that other thing. And that's natural. That's okay. Right. But I'm asking for 5 hours out of 168 in a week. You're asking a minimum of 5 hours from your family, your friends, to improve you, right? To improve, because when your business is working, you improve because you get validation and you think, geez, I'm worth something, right? And a lot of you are working with negative loops because you've tried so many things, and so many, your family, your friends, your community, your workplace goes, oh gosh, there goes Ed. He's off on one of his flights of fancy again. What is it this time? Is it cryptocurrency? What is it? And because that you don't have the fundamentals, the systems, right? We don't rise to the level of our goals. We fail to the level of our systems. And that is what will get you. Okay, so my goal. So what can I do to help you with that? First of all, behavior design, right? Thanks to BJ. I love that phrase. We're going to be using that all throughout. You're going to get sick of it, because behavior design, and I can't spell behavior. I'm pretty sure. No, that's not how you spell it. Anyway, you know what it means. Behavior design. I have no idea how to spell behavior. Spelling, fortunately, doesn't mean you can't make money. But behavior design is going to be crucial. We are also going to be monitoring your sleep. And that brings us back to something that I was hoping to release today, but it's not quite there yet. Will be Alex, and hello Alex, if you're on. I haven't looked at the participant list. Alex has been working with me to something that we implemented in Operation Scrum Style, and for the first time we're going to do, well, it's optional, you don't have to do it, but we are going to do academy-wide Operation Scrum Style. So as I say, it's a purely optional activity. You'll be able to sign into it. It'll be running in a separate group, and we'll be doing exactly what I did with Operation Scrum Style. It'll be, what did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? Is there anything stopping you? And we will be asking you how long did you sleep last night? Because I want to bring that into your awareness. So answering those 3 questions each day, and then taking the time at the end of the week to just go through your results and your answers to those questions for the week will be incredibly revelatory to you. And frankly, it'll be revelatory to me, because when you get on an engaged session and you say, this isn't working, and I go and have a look and I see that you've been getting 5-6 hours sleep for the last week, I won't be answering your question about what's not working. We'll be working on behavior design to say, how are you working to sleep? Because if I don't fix that, you're not going to be successful. It's that simple. It is literally that simple, right? So if we don't address the underlying behavior design, and so we have to use behavior design to understand how we can cheat and use the power of environments and prompts to make sure we get these uninterrupted periods of time where you work on your business, right? Because it has to be, it needs to be uninterrupted. I can't spell, you know what I mean? Uninterrupted. And it also needs to be consistent. Another word I can't spell. I'm really hitting all the hits. It needs to be consistent, right? That cadence is absolutely crucial, right? That is what you get into a rhythm of doing that. And that's the, key to behavior design. And, at the end of the day, as for those of you who've read Tiny Habits, you'll know this. It's a great formula, right? Your behavior equals M times A times P, or MAP. Your motivation, your ability. Notice I've hardly said anything about ability in this entire rant. It's because that's the easiest to fix, right? Because a gap in ability, when you go to a teacher and say, hey, teacher, violin teacher, I'm really struggling with doing these harmonics. What do? They give you a drill. Hey, coach, I'm really struggling catching the football on my left-hand side. What do? They give you a drill. Hey, coach, I'm just slicing all the time on the golf course. I just cannot get a drive to go straight. What do? They give you a drill. Hey, teacher, I really don't understand how these fractions work. They're really doing my head in. A good teacher will, what? Yes, I hear you. Give you a drill. Yet for some reason in the business is different. Creating a business, the act of getting good at business, for some reason that's different, right? Drills don't work. Well, I'm here to call bullshit on that concept, because there are drills for everything. There are drills for headlines. There are drills for leads. There are drills and system for, hey, you don't understand enough and you're not moving forward because of uncertainty. Great. Let's line up 5 interviews with people in your market and let's give you a set of questions to ask each of those people. Let's build up your certainty. That's why I don't worry about ability too much, because the way to solve ability is drills for you to get better at it. Or, by the way, the other thing that's available to us, particularly in business, you can't outsource your flute playing, or you can't outsource your ability as a wide receiver. You can just say, hey, I'm bringing in my wide receiver that I paid who's much better at it. Can't do that. But in business, one huge advantage that we have is we can outsource our ability. In business, nobody gets angry at you for outsourcing your ability in business. That's no problem. You can absolutely do that. Not an issue at all. All right. So that's why I don't worry about, that's why you'll rarely hear me talk about ability, because it's so easily solved. I shouldn't say easily solved, because you might have to work at the drills for a few weeks. It's not like, business is way easier than learning the violin. Way easier. It's much easier than being a quarterback in a football team. It's any sort of skill. It's much easier than learning to paint, or being a stand-up comic. Business is way easier than all of that, right? But because of that, people just seem to roll into it, and it's stupid. It's dumb, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? So that's what we have to look at. Your motivation, okay, in BJ Fogg's formula, that the things that determine motivation, what's the number one thing that we can do to help with motivation? Sleep. The science is it's incontrovertible. It's very hard to be motivated when you are on sleep deficit, which frankly, and I can say with absolute certainty, although maybe a few Australians who are in the middle of our summer holidays, or Southern Hemisphere, South Africans and New Zealanders, if we're not choking in the smoke, are on holidays, maybe you're getting enough sleep. So, apart from that, I can guarantee most of you are running sleep deficit. Very hard to be motivated running sleep deficit. You look at every top performer on the planet in any field, and then like NBA players, for example, they're being told to get 10 to 11 hours of sleep, all right, a night, right? Because of the restorative and motivational abilities of sleep, all right? The P, to finalize all of this, is, of course, prompt. We talked about it in the academy, I suppose, as triggers, but I like prompt even better, because every behavior starts with a prompt, right? If you are not prompted in some way, you will not execute a behavior. It's that simple. Like, think about it. It doesn't matter what you do, there is a prompt. Even picking your nose, you feel there's a bit of a nose meat in there, and that's the prompt to raise that index finger or get right in there. That's disgusting. That's a terrible metaphor. I must come up with something different. But the reality is that we are working with our prompts. And so understanding what those prompts are to that behavior is very important. And the cool thing is that we can design for each of these three elements. And that is the essence of B, which is, of course, behavior. And as BJ Fogg so brilliantly talks about in his book, is when we want to design a new behavior. And I love that terminology. The psychology of that phrasing is so beautiful, right? Because it's design. We are engineering a new behavior. We are getting that work, and so there's a lot, feels more solid and scientific, which it is, right? By designing a behavior to solve some of those core issues that we are having, what do? We raise the level of our systems. And what happens when we raise the level of our systems? Then if you're doing exactly this, here's the secret to success. You ready for this? If you're doing the exact same thing as a solopreneur who has an effective business, you will have an effective business. Notice I said a solopreneur, because if you want to compare yourself to, one of those influencer types on Instagram that is talking about, look at me doing what I'm doing, and here's me on my bed, and that's fantastic. What you don't see is the literally hundreds of team hours they have at their disposal through the large organizations that they have, or even 4 or 5 people, right? Because if you imagine that, if you employ 5 people, 40 hours a week, 5 times 4, I believe that is 200 extra hours of leverage that they have, which you just don't, right? If you're doing 5 hours consistently and they are doing 200 hours consistently towards their business, who's going to win? It's physics, right? So I don't want you to compare to that person. I want you to compare to successful solopreneurs who are doing everything themselves at this point. And there is a transition period, make no mistake, where every single one of you will have to build a team. That's coming. But for most of you, you can get to your first 100,000 by yourself still. In fact, I would argue easier in 2020 than you could at any other time, as long as we solve for our behavior design, our sleep, and our CFTs. Okay. Rant over.